Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the three hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, you know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, this is Chris Haskell from They Live by Film. For those that don't know us, Adam, Zach, and we built a podcast over the last 2 years that's a combination of film discussion from three very different perspectives, as well as industry interviews with the leaders in boutique Blu-ray and 4K community. We started with Dev Crocodile, but over time we've been lucky enough to speak with Arrow Video, Severin, Mondo Macabro, Vinegar Syndrome, Radiance, Indicator, most of the OCN partner labels. It's been a blast. You can find us wherever you podcast, and also actually recently as part of Someone's Favorite Production podcast network. We hope to see you online.
We're in Way Media. Welcome back, Midnight viewers, to Father Malone's Weekly Roundup. I'm Father Malone, and here, protecting me from the xenomorph menace, it's everywhere, you know, is Miss Ripley Jean. Bark at the people, Ripley. Oh, so willful. You're lucky you're cute. How's everyone doing? I'm asking our international friends because I already know how we're doing in the States. Spooky season is hitting a lot harder this year. Don't worry, though. I have recently acquired a copy of the Necronomicon. It's the paperback edition, though. No way I was giving my eternal soul for an original copy with the flesh binding. Anyway, even though it's pretty dense reading, I think I should be able to at least conjure Yog-Sothoth or some man-amphibian hybrids from the coastal waters. I'll keep you posted. We got some correspondence. That can mean only one thing.
Penpals from around the world!
This is from our Patreon channel. You know, the actual fans. This one's from Andy. He writes, "Hi, Father Malone. You asked for suggestions on one of your shows a while back. What would you think of doing an episode covering Tangerine Dream's film scores? Take care and let me know what you think about a TD score show. You want to know what I think? I think our first composer-themed episode is in production. We're going to scale the Tangerine Heights until we're all dreaming. Who's we? HP, of course. My most musically inclined compadre. If you haven't checked out his show Noise Junkies, which is about music, you're doing yourself a disservice. But anyway, Tangerine Dream episode is happening. Thank you very much, Andy." And this is from another patron, this one from Jason. "Father Malone just wanted to say thanks for all you do. You, Mike White, Chris Stashew, and a couple of other folks have gotten me through some rough days. Really appreciate it, and I wish I could do more to support you, but please know that your work means a lot to people. Just hearing the familiar voices of like-minded, smart people can be a huge comfort in shitty times. By the way, I'm currently listening to your heavy metal episode from last year. Excellent choice. And I'm reminded of seeing it at a midnight show sometime around 1990 or 91. A couple of Bill and Ted-looking dudes walked in about 5 minutes late, and one loudly goes, 'Aw, man, it's a fucking cartoon.' Suckers!" Anyway, that is how you contact me, folks. That is correspondence. Thank you so much, Jason. Also, we got a new communique from our pal Shane Mackey. And I mean pal like you're all my pals, you know, like the Young Guns meaning of pals. You get it. Anyway, haven't heard from you in some time, Shane. What say you? He writes, Enjoying Alien Earth, but I have a hard time with the name Boy Cavalier without hearing it with a John Lovett-style flourish. I think that's something like this. Boy Cavalier! I am intrigued on your theory that the Octo-Eye will one day be the CEO of one of the Big Five. That will make for an odd company portrait. I'm impressed with your memory of media from our youth. I've got maybe a year or two on you and some of those details escape me, but here's one. I'd catch this maybe once or twice on HBO, always around 5 a.m. on Saturday. This short film, about a battle between video game characters. I was probably around 11 or 12 at the time. That hour of the week, they would show some shorts that are probably now lost to time, but I did find this one on YouTube. Finally, I find you an excellent swearer as you punctuate, not pepper. Oddly that last sentence may have been improperly punctuated. Enjoy your horror convention car show? I may be confused on the specifics. All right, let me take things in reverse order. The Nightmare in Vegas horror convention and car show. You got your car show in my horror convention. You got your convention in my car show. It's both. And it's happening October 4th and 5th at the Silverton Casino in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. It's America's playground. And if you're coming in from out of state, you picked the perfect fucking time. The seasons here in Las Vegas are spring, summer, fall. Over and over again. Fuck you, winter. We've thrown in with Heat Miser. He's most benevolent. It's going to be a fucking blast. They've got crazy guests there like Miko Hughes, Gage from Pet Sematary, and also Andrew Bronarski. That's the one I'm stoked for. You'd know him the moment you saw him. He was in Batman Returns. He's Christopher Walken's son. No, Dad. Save yourself. Every horror person in the valley is going to be there. There's going to be tons of vendors, tons of food, and midnight viewing, motherfuckers. I will be there, and HP, and Chris Stashu. We're going to be raffling off some cool vintage horror shit and chasing people down with microphones. I should have a phrase or something. If you come up with me, I can give you something cool. You know what? I'll determine the prize, but if you come up to me, not HP, not Chris, me, and you say, "We're honoring murderers," you'll get that treasure, and you'll get on the air. All right, that's that. Thank you for the motherfucking profanity compliment, Shane. I've had those very close to me tell me it needs to be toned down. Looking at you, Rip. She's asleep. That's who I'm working with here. She's asleep. Okay, the short film he mentioned is called Arcade Attack by Mike Wallington. And yes, I remember it so fucking well. As he mentioned, back in the day, HBO would keep to a strict on-the-hour schedule. Movies didn't begin at the half hour or the quarter hour. If a film ended at 4:08 p.m., then the next movie would not begin until 5 p.m. And they had better part of an hour to fill, and they'd show videos or electronic press kit type behind the scenes. And thanks to a fucking flood of short films coming out of film schools in the US and UK, though really out of Canada, if you were a TV junkie like myself, you were getting an honest-to-God film festival every day. I often sing the praises of the USA Network series Night Flight for introducing me to a cavalcade of short cinema, but if I'm being honest, HBO was dominating in that arena. I have linked the short that Shane mentioned in the show notes, and just below that will be my favorite short film from the netherworld of in-betweenness on HBO. This one is called Recorded Live from 1975. It's about a recording engineer doing battle with a living roll of magnetic tape. I consider that film to be as formative as any horror I experienced in my young life, and because I'm talking about it, I just want to shout out its filmmaker, S.S. Wilson. He's a fellow USC alum. After that short, he'd go on to write the Robot on the Run feature Short Circuit, and then Tremors. I love Tremors. And he was one of the writers on Wild Wild West. Can't win them all. But I do want to talk to him, so I'm going to try to make that happen. Check out both those short films, and if you want to get in touch with me here, it's all in the show notes. Okay? Close up the mailbag. Now, ordinarily here would be Rip's pick with the music and me talking to HP, but because she's asleep, I'm just going to give you the broad strokes of her choice. I watched the new stupid Conjuring movie. I figured it was my horror journalistic duty. I've seen them all the extended universe shit, the Conjureverse. And believe it or not, I have some association with this film series, however tangential.
Don't touch anything. Everything you see in here is either haunted, cursed, or been used in some sort of ritualistic practice. Nothing's a toy. Not even the toys.
How many cases you guys had?
Cases.
My name is Ed Warren, here with my wife Lorraine.
maybe 1,000. Every case is different. Every family's different. Once we start, there's no going back. Mommy. Anything can happen. And most likely anything will.
Something's changed. Something's different.
Son of the Holy Spirit. We cast you out. No. By the power of our Lord Jesus Christ.
For you.
Here is my take on these films. First one, it's James Wan. He knows what he's doing with the camera, and he knows the right people to hire to make it look as good as it does. I admire that first film the way I admire Donnie Darko, in that it doesn't feel like a period piece, it feels like a film from that era, which is as high a compliment as I can give. I'm not saying the script was great, it wasn't, just a hodgepodge of spook show conventions reconfigured and reassembled from the strengths of superior films, and the hagiography treatment of the Warrens is a bit much. But it had some good fucking moments, and that cast was superlative. I recommend that movie. And I happen to think the second one is even better, dispensing with any ties to logic or reality. I think the family is stronger as protagonists, and the scares are even better. That film scared me into the trailer. Bravo. Now, it might sound like I really like this series, and I guess if it ended there, then yeehaw, you made a couple of great paranormal plot boilers. But it didn't fucking end there, did it? Because even before Conjuring 2 came out, there was Annabelle. Okay, I kind of like that one too. Alright, if that was a trilogy. But then came Annabelle Creation. Horrible. The doll is not that scary, everybody. It's not Chucky. I'd be way more into it had they kept the original Raggedy Ann doll that Annabelle actually was. That'd be fucking cool. Anyway, they followed that nightmare with The Nun. How many scares in it? None. And then Annabelle Comes Home, which brings back the Warrens and their museum and their daughter, and I really like that one. What's the tally now? It's 3-3. So there's still a chance that this can be a decent series, so if they would just stop. But they didn't. The Conjuring, the devil made me do it. Oh boy, did I speak ill of those Annabelle movies? Those Nun movies? I apologize. This movie is garbage. No scares. Zero. The characters are uninteresting. The Warrens are uninteresting. This story was based on the case of Arnie Johnson. He was witness to an exorcism performed by the Warrens. About a month later, he stabbed his landlord to death and claimed demon possession as his defense in court. He was convicted of manslaughter. The film, on the other hand, is about a body-jumping demon that the Warrens are chasing all over the Northeast, including a depiction of Danvers, Massachusetts, which is where I went to high school. That is not my tenuous connection to the series. This is. I was a tour guide at the Haunted Museum here in Las Vegas for about 2 years. Let's call the owner Frodo Baggins. You know, like in the books. Frodo bought the rocking chair that was in David Glatzel's room during the exorcism when the demon purportedly jumped into Arnie Johnson. And he had a whole room built to showcase it in the museum. You'd hit a button and a door would open, revealing the chair in a room decorated to look like a child's bedroom. And then a recording of the actual exorcism would play. The recording, admittedly, is disconcerting. Hearing guttural snarls coming from any human being is going to give you the willies. But that was the only real effect of the room, because otherwise, you're just staring at a chair. Which is not exactly the VW microbus Dr. Kevorkian used on his euthanasia tour, although that is in the museum as well. The only reason I bring it up, other than the Conjuring connection, is that if you remember back to July of 2019, there were a series of earthquakes in California, the Ridgecrest quakes. And some of those shakers were felt as far off as Las Vegas. So one day, I open the door, and the recording is playing, and the chair starts slowly swaying back and forth, and everyone gasps, and then they lean back against the wall, but that's shaking too. And then they all turn to me terrified, and I say, "It's an earthquake. Maybe we should go outside." Guess who was the skeptic on the tour guide staff? I was the head tour guide, by the way. Just want to point that out. Next up, we had The Nun 2. I won't recycle the joke, but this movie is fucking horrible as well, even though I like the Farmiga girl. And then we got this, The Conjuring: Last Rites. Ed and Lorraine and their now grown daughter have to investigate a family in Pennsylvania that have been terrorized by a mirror. The movie plays almost like a parody of the first Conjuring movies. Remember James Wan's camera slowly gliding through the new family home, giving us geography and subtle character points? Well, let's do that again, but really fast and never ending. Just a swooping camera untethered by logic. Maybe it's the ghost's point of view. That would make sense. As much sense as this convoluted plot, or plots. We're supposed to give a shit that the Warrens' daughter is exhibiting the same gifts as her mom, all set against the backdrop of her upcoming wedding to a nondescript actor we're never going to see again. Or some priest. He's doing investigating on his own. We got to follow his story too. The movie does have one redeeming factor. Spoilers for the next 30 seconds. All of the characters from the previous films are in attendance at the daughter's wedding. It's nice because it reminds you that this franchise once had promise and held your interest. You know when they're doing reunions, it's time to hang it up. But then again, the movie made $400 million on a budget of $55, so you tell me if that's the last we'll hear of Annabelle. Although, that is the last film in the series I'm going to be wasting my life on. There are more noble pursuits out there. Is football one of them? No, but that's the subject of the latest from producer. You hear that? Not writer, not director, producer Jordan Peele. This is him.
Do I look at you or the camera?
You'll just look right at me. You'll just ignore the camera.
Okay.
There are a lot of people saying you could be the next great quarterback. I can already see it now. Cam running down a tunnel with a crowd chanting his name.
I hear you've been invited to train with legend Isaiah White himself. Care to elaborate?
I want to be the GOAT. Cameron King. Great meeting you. I'm a fan. That's crazy. I damn near worship you growing up. Who are you?
I'm him.
Who are you?
I'm him. Manta.
Let's play a little catch. We going to the land! You want to play at your highest level? You want to be a legend? Because let me tell you something. This ain't a game. Who are they? Just gonna toss the ball around a little. You wanna hit this? You can't handle it. I understand. Oh, too slow. Wait, what are we doing? That man's smile about to be on the floor. This is how you do your teammate? What is this? In this game, violence is rewarded, so learn to enjoy it. Get your shit together!
Cam, are you okay?
I think something's off.
You don't know what you're getting yourself into.
Now we playing some football!
Don't have to do this.
I've never been more certain of anything in my life. And how bad does Cameron Cade want it? I ain't a killer, but don't push me. I'm not just gonna give it to you. You got to take it from me. I ain't a killer, but don't push me. What if I say no? Run. Think of it as a gift from the gods. But don't push me. So what are you willing to sacrifice?
Surprise! The guy twitching in the dark, pointing out discrepancies in horror anthology TV series from 50 years ago, isn't the biggest sports fan. Like, at all. I played baseball and basketball as a kid. I understand the camaraderie and teamwork, and the training and putting something above yourself. All the shit you're supposed to get from the children's game. I got it. And then my interest drifted, if sport had ever had it at all, honestly. And through the years, I've attempted to become a spectator. I once chose a football team to follow for a season to try and drum up my enthusiasm. It was the Cleveland Browns, by the way. They did not stoke the fires of sports fanaticism within me. So I'm not the guy to talk to on Monday about the game, if it's played on Sunday. I'm just assuming. But if you were to make a movie out of a sport, well, that's a whole different ballgame. Am I using that correctly? I love sports movies. I love sports documentaries. Sum the entire thing up for me. Contextualize it. I'm all in. I love Slapshot. I love Fast Break. The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh. 8 Men Out. Are you kidding me? How about The Longest Yard or North Dallas 40 or all of those NFL films that George Romero directed in the 70s? Yes, please. And there have been so many sports movies. Every underdog tale, every ragtag group of misfits coming together to overcome their... which makes it weird that we have so few horror sports movies. Teen Wolf does not count. None of the goofy ones. Gutterballs, Monster Brawl. When you think about it, there really hasn't been a serious sports horror movie. Here Comes Him. Originally titled Goat, wish it had remained that. Not only for the greatest of all time association, but its rather ominous shadings of Satan. Him is the story of Cameron Cade, played by Tyreek Withers, who's already been in the remakes of I Know What You Did Last Summer and Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, but don't hold that against him. He's electric in this flick. Cam is an up-and-coming college quarterback who's patterned his entire life and potential career around Isaiah White, the quarterback for the San Antonio Saviors. Of course, all the team names and leagues are made up for the film. There's no way the NFL was going to sanction this. Hell, the XFL wouldn't sanction it. What? I know about sports even if I don't care. Isaiah, or Zay, is nearing the end of his contract, having overcome some crippling injuries over the length of his career. Crippling. And the film is a week-long trial as Cameron is put through his paces by Zay at a remote, poured concrete, brutalist training facility somewhere in the middle of the desert. If I had to guess, I'd say it was New Mexico. I know deserts, people. The film has some interesting things to say about the sports phenomenon, from the fanatics that worship the players like gods, to the willingness of sacrificing one's own body at the temple of winning, to the blind surrender to sports medicine that keeps you going, and, of course, the cabal of rich white men that lurk in the shadows pulling all the strings. And thanks to an early attack by either a mascot or just a lunatic, Cam has a swelling brain that may be causing him to hallucinate the demons and succubi he seems to keep seeing with increasing regularity. Then again, maybe not. Zay, the current GOAT and the film's Obi-Wan Darth Vader rolled into one, is played by Marlon Wayans. He is the only Wayans I will venture to the theater and put money down to see. He is clearly the most talented actor in the family. Not stand-up, that's Damon. Not comedic filmmaker, that's Keenan. Though his stand-up isn't bad, and his films have been at least on par with some of Keenan's work. I just think he's great. Fucking Requiem for a Dream and White Chicks? He's good in both? Get out of here. He's awesome here. The film is wall-to-wall Wayans, and I still wanted more. Also, the soundtrack tends to lean into classical, which is never a bad thing. There's plenty of cool and interesting stuff by composer Bobby Kurlick. Fans of drone metal will know him as the Haxan Cloak, but overall it feels like a yen toward Kubrick with all of the classical music, and I really admired that. Overall, though, the film is a mess. For all the interesting avenues the film proposes we go strolling down, it ultimately settles on the weakest and most obvious one. In fact, they go for catharsis at the end. And that's how you know Jordan Peele was producer and not creative, because he understands that horror movies need to end terribly for everyone, even if the good guys win. But I do think Him is worth a look. Performances are top-notch, including Australian stand-up Jim Jeffries as the team's physician. He's really good. The production design is killer, the editing is great, all the flights of fancy are so cool, and there's some really great stuff they're doing with team mascots here. There's so much to recommend it. Except the ending. You know, people tend to crave satisfying endings. I know I do. And that's going to be the end of this week's Roundup. I do sincerely want to thank you all again for listening. The show had doubled in listenership about 6 months ago, and it's kind of done that again. I can't explain it other than the endless recording and advertising that I do. Thank you for listening overall. Tune in Friday. We've got a brand spanking new Yaucha Fest. It's Predators. Danny Trejo and Topher Grace and Alice Braga versus a planet full of predators. Well, 3 anyway. That's Friday. If you want to hear it now, or the next installment, that's Shane Black's film The Predator, go over to patreon.com/FatherMalone. Those patrons have been listening for weeks. And you can hear the latest episode of HP Hates Me, where HP made me watch the rock and roll comedy FM from 1978. I hated it, even with an appearance by the goddess Linda Ronstadt. Until then, I'm going to be buckling down and trying to make this convention appearance happen. Wish me luck, everyone. For Ripley Jean, I'm Father Malone. Here's a bit from him.
You're a good dude, Cam. Do me a favor. Find your own way to greatness. Don't be me. Be better. What do you mean? You're starving to death in the prison. Somebody asks you, food or freedom? Do you really have a choice?
Hello and welcome to Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys. My name is Hunter. In this podcast, I'll be joined by a different guest each week to discuss a classic Western movie or TV show. I've been a fan of classic Westerns for as long as I can remember, and in recent years, they've become very nostalgic for me. I love the aesthetic, the tropes, and I love seeing different filmmakers' takes on them. At their best, they're incredibly entertaining, rewatchable, and some of my all-time favorite movies are Westerns. We'll mostly focus on Western movies made in Hollywood, but we'll also be covering spaghetti Westerns, and one thing I'm very excited to get into are Western TV shows. I've got some amazing guests coming on the show, film professors, historians, and podcasters. And Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys is part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, and many guests on the show will be from other shows on the network. Thanks for listening.